Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Real Time, where we talk about the movies we like.
And the ones we don't.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Molly.
And today we are going to be tackling the World War I movie, 1917. Now, we previously recorded an episode for this movie, but yeah,
You deleted it.
I deleted it.
So now we have to record it again.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Here we go.
All right, Tyler, why don't you tell me about the cast of 1917?
So, 1917 stars George McKay as Lance Corporal Schofield, a soldier in the British Army during, again, the First World War. And like the title suggests, it takes place in the year 1917.
Mm-hmm.
Also starring is Dean Charles Chapman as Lance Corporal Blake. Now, these two are sent off on a mission by Colin Firth's character, General Aaron Moore, to go stop an attack that another unit in the army is about to undertake the next day, that has Blake's brother in it. They'd be wandering into a German trap, and 2 battalions will be wiped out if they continue this attack. So they have to cross like 9 miles of what they're told is previously enemy held territory, but they told it's not. Germans have retreated, but it's not going to be so easy. Also in this movie is Andrew Scott as a lieutenant they meet on the front lines before they go out into no man's land. Now, no man's land being the area outside of the trenches between their trench and the enemy trench, that it was just an absolute nightmare to get through in World War I. Also featuring is Mark Strong as Captain Smith, an officer that Schofield meets along the way, as well as this IMDb page. It lists people. I'm assuming by when they show up, because there's a long line of names until we get to our next name, Benedict Cumberbatch as Colonel Mackenzie, the commander of the battalions that they're sent to.
Yep.
Also featuring is Richard Madden as Lieutenant Blake, Lance Corporal Blake's older brother.
Now, something really interesting that I think you pointed out is the higher rank these soldiers are, the more prolific actor is portrayed by them.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's pretty cool. It's a fun idea.
We have our general, played by Colin Firth, an Oscar-winning actor.
And he's the top dog.
Top guy, yeah. Then we have, Benedict Cumberbatch playing the colonel, an Oscar-nominated actor, hasn't won yet. But I've heard good things about his performances in The Imitation Game and Power of the Dog, so, only a matter of time by now. But I feel like Benedict Cumberbatch is a more better-known actor than Colin Firth, but that may be because of, Sherlock and his role as Doctor Strange. Next we have Mark Strong as Captain Smith. He's everyone knows Mark Strong's face. They know him from like the Sherlock Holmes movies. Well, just the one. He was only in the first one. He died. Spoiler alerts for a 14-year-old movie. He was in that. He was in a fair amount of comic book movies. The Kingsman movies, for one, with Colin Firth.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he and the two they don't share any screen time. Unfortunate, but yeah. Then we have Andrew Scott as the lieutenant. He isn't as known to American audiences as he would be to British audiences.
I just know him from Sherlock.
Yeah, he was Moriarty in Sherlock.
Yeah, real fun.
He appeared in HBO's Band of Brothers miniseries back in 2001. He was one of the bad guys in one of the later James Bond movies, Spectre. That's not really a spoiler. It's incredibly obvious that this guy is going to be a bad guy. Just he shows up and he's just instantly annoying to Bond. So, and then we have Richard Madden, another lieutenant he's more up and coming. He was important in like the first season or two of Game of Thrones. He was He played John Reed in Rocketman. I almost said Bohemian Rhapsody. And honestly, he's my pick for the next James Bond. I would love it if he were to play Bond in the next iteration, because he just has that. He has that energy I want from Bond. He's young, he's handsome, he's suave.
Very suave.
Yeah, he looks very handsome in a tux. So I'd love him as Bond. So these two poor guys, like honestly, like the things that happens to these guys. First of all, spoiler alert: Blake dies.
Not too far into the movie either.
I don't think it was even halfway through. This poor guy gets gutted by this German pilot that they help out of his plane after he crashes.
Yeah.
Like, come, my guy, they just rescued you. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And then Schofield has to watch his friend slowly die, which Blake's. So I want to say that before I continue with this part, this movie was shot to make it look like it was filmed in one continuous shot.
Yeah.
A very, very cool technique that they employed that I will come back to later, but it is 100% tied to the historical accuracy of this movie. But anyway, so Blake's actor's face as he was going paler and paler from blood loss, he could just do that, honestly.
What do you mean?
Like, he can make himself go pale.
I don't think I can do that.
I don't either.
How do you do that?
I don't know. But, that along with some, of course, digital trickery, they managed to do that because, again, they're shooting this to make it look like it's One take.
Yeah.
So, the amount of, makeup and stuff they would have to do otherwise, that would be really difficult.
Yeah.
But, well, there's, I said one take, but it's more like two takes, because there's a scene a little bit after this where Schofield gets knocked out for a couple hours after dealing with a German sniper.
Yeah, but that's the only time.
That's the only visible cut.
That's the only cut, that we see.
They really hid the cuts very, very well.
Yeah.
It's like the movie Birdman with Michael Keaton back in 2014. They used the same technique, but in that case, it would be a little bit easier to account for everything because a lot of that movie was shot inside.
Yeah, this is all outside.
Yeah, there's very few scenes that take place inside of any sort of structure.
Yeah.
So it's much more difficult to do this. Also, considering all the birds flying around, all the weather changes, all of the things that are happening in this movie. Like, for instance, a lot of these shooting locations are hundreds of miles apart from each other.
Yeah. So
it can't be easy to disguise any of this. But they did it pretty seamlessly.
Yeah.
It's honestly a really great movie and one of the best World War I movies I've seen. And
I'd have to agree.
Now, getting to the historical accuracy of the thing, if you know your history of World War I, then this will be quite a treat for you because this movie is pretty accurate without really overstating it,
Sure.
Like, it has the details here and there that these guys are talking about, just naturally because that's what these guys would be talking about. For one, early in the movie, Blake was talking about a big push from their guys, from the British, and talking about having the Germans on the run, or the Huns as they call them. Dumb cat.
He just hit his head on the table.
He's a stupid boy.
Anyways, keep going.
That boy ain't right, but he's cute. Anyways, So yeah, this really happened back in World War One. The Germans were technically retreating in order to pull the British and the French into a trap so that they can get them. And there's one moment that some pretty pedantic people will point to and say, this movie sucks because this part here isn't accurate. In the movie, early in the movie, when they're getting into no man's land and they have that tank just stuck in the mud, that model tank wasn't actually introduced until a few days after this movie takes place. But I'm not too concerned about that, if we're being completely honest. It's a pretty silly thing to criticize the movie over. Yeah. Because one, they're not using the tank; it's stuck in the mud.
It's on screen for 2 seconds, maybe.
Yeah, and again, and number two, it's not on screen for very long, so there's no real reason to get too upset about it.
Yeah. Usually when we watch war movies, you're always critiquing the outfits because you're a history guy. You're in the army.
I'm in the army.
So you know a lot. So what about their outfits?
Oh well, this is the British Army. I don't know anything about
you don't
that.
Know. Okay, I just thought you're a nerd. Maybe you know.
Look, for all I know, it's portrayed correctly. I'm gonna assume it is because I know nothing about the British Army.
All right.
Other than it exists.
Okay.
But that's another thing that you're bringing up. That makes a good point. I feel like because I am in the army, I can relate to these poor guys even more.
Yeah.
Because there's just these two, very low enlisted guys that are just set on some crap mission by their superiors. That they're gonna do it. Blake is clearly wanting to do that. He wants to rescue his brother, but like, my guy, this is not a good time. Which World War One was not known to be a good time in general.
No, definitely not.
What's he looking at?
I don't know.
He's weird.
He's trying to catch an invisible bug.
Our little our little kitty Guts is
acting crazy.
He's being very silly.
Running around, trying to climb the walls.
Yeah. Anyways.
Oh well. So,
these poor guys are getting sent out on this mission by their general, and they're expressing some pretty valid concerns, like, it's day, isn't that, German territory? He's just like, you'll be fine, just get going. And this guy, he has no idea what he's talking about, because, he just sends them on this mission, and he's not going to the front lines very often, so he doesn't really know much about what's going on. It's poor guys.
Yeah.
And by the time Blake gets to the Devons, the unit he's going to, he is just he is done. He is spent. He is absolutely just nah. He needs a nap and a stiff drink. Not in that order, but he needs that very desperately.
Yeah.
He's been knocked out for a few hours. He had to watch his friend die. He got blowed up basically in this German dugout and blinded by chalk dust. He had to run from a fair amount of German bullets. He jumps off this bridge into this pretty quick river going that thankfully takes him to where he needs to go.
Yeah.
And by the time he gets to this group of soldiers listening to this one guy singing Wayfaring Stranger. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Damn cat. Anyways, a very beautiful song, especially when it's being sung in this one.
Yeah.
In this movie. By that point, he's done with everything. You feel really bad for the guy.
Yeah, well, with the way this movie's edited to make it look like one shot, I feel like I got tired with him.
Yeah.
I watched, the day, you get to see the day slowly turn into night. You're with this guy as he travels this long distance and is so tired. and then I'm so tired.
And this movie isn't even 2 hours long, but by the end of it, you're just exhausted.
Like, oh, that was
Which
Ooh,
I'd say we get back to the filming technique playing into the historical aspect of it.
Yeah.
And making it seem like it was shot in one take was a deliberate choice by the director, Sam Mendes, to focus on and just what's the word that you want to emphasize to emphasize the just the cyclical nature of this war, because this was the first modern war, really. You know, over the course of 4 years or so, very little ground was being taken on the Western Front. Okay, you know, these guys sometimes spent the whole war in just the one trenches. You know, so this was not a great time for either side. Which, you know, duh.
Yeah.
It's a war. I feel like I'm stating the blatantly obvious here, but that's really what the movie's trying to show us. And I pointed out to you when we were watching it how the British trenches look and the German trenches looked.
Yeah.
The British trenches were all, you know, kind of run down, kind of dirty, because the British didn't expect this war to go on for very long. That's why they didn't.
They just threw it together real fast.
They just threw it together real fast. But the Germans, they had the foresight to be like, okay, we're probably going to be here a while. Let's make this make this somewhat nice. Yeah. And in real life, that's how, you know, these trenches work. They had like wooden floors. They had electricity in some parts of the trenches. So, you know, these. That really shows the difference between the two mindsets for each country during the war.
Yeah.
Anyway, so not Blake, he's dead. Schofield, he finally gets to the Devons. He's absolutely catatonic, and he's you know, these guys are asking, oh, hey, you okay? You're not with us. Are you all right? He's like, I have to get to the Devons. They said, oh, we're the Devons. And
he's like, oh man.
And then he said. They say that they're the second wave, and that the first one is about to go over. So that gets him back into action, and he's running through the trenches, and then it leads to, just spoiler alert, my favorite part of the movie, when he's just running. He climbs over the top of the trench and runs through no man's land to get to Colonel Mackenzie. And
yeah, this part is it might be my favorite too. I cannot say, but. That part is just so. It's so good. There's no other word to describe it than just amazing.
That is art right there. Yeah, it's just this guy. He's doing whatever he can to save all of these men. And for a second, when he gets to the dugout where Mackenzie's at, he's almost not let in, but then he makes it in, gives him the letter, and Mackenzie at this point. You just gotta feel for this guy too, because he's getting this report to, you know, don't attack, but then he just says, you know, they're gonna tell me to attack next week, so what's the point? Yeah, this guy is just so beaten down by this war as well that
he almost doesn't even call him off.
He only calls off the attack once he gets the letter. And then after that. Schofield is looking for Blake's brother, and he eventually finds him, and, you know, lets him know that Blake died. It was very quick, and that I'm going to write to your mother about this. And then after he speaks to Blake's brother, he goes over to this tree, sits down, takes out a picture of his wife and his kid, and then he just falls asleep because he needs it.
Yeah, well, the movie starts with him taking a nap, and then we're with him the entire time he's conscious, and then it ends with him taking a nap.
Yeah, so
a well-deserved nap.
It's like poetry; it rhymes. Yeah. Yeah. So this is even just talking about this is exhausting.
Yeah.
Because this movie is just so good. so beautiful, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
Well, we just talked about our favorite scenes.
I have a few more to add.
Okay.
Well, there are a lot of good scenes in here. It's almost as if it's two big scenes. However, some scenes that I think that I also like are in the contest for being my favorite is maybe when he gets to that city and after he gets knocked out and he wakes back up and he's looking out on the city and the flares are going up and it's very beautiful and dramatic.
And the camera goes through the window.
Yeah. And he like walks to that fire and he's just kind of mesmerized even though there's enemies like right by him.
All around him.
That's really cool. And I also like the scene where he meets that woman and the baby. It's a very touching scene. You're hinted throughout the entire movie that he has a daughter.
Yeah.
Because he lingers on the picture of... There's like a picture in the German camp or whatever, trench, of a daughter, of a wife and a daughter, and he lingers on that. There's a doll in that abandoned house that he kind of lingers by for a second.
There's a scene when he meets Andrew Scott that Andrew Scott is talking to him. I don't remember his character's name. I'm just gonna call him Andrew Scott. About this mission, he says, "Get you a medal. That'll be something to send home to your wife."
Yeah, and when he's with the woman and the little baby girl, the woman asks if he has kids, and he doesn't answer, but you're led to believe that he probably does have a daughter, and you don't really find out until the end. But yeah, the scene where he has milk. He got milk from that farm and gives it to the baby, gives the woman some food, and then unfortunately has to go. Can't stick around. He's got work to do.
He's got to get got.
And then of course, well, there's so many others, but yeah, the scene that really sticks out is the one where he gets up out of the trench and is running across the battlefield. Now,
that scene was actually inspired by real life.
Oh.
Sam Mendes' grandfather was a runner in World War I. And he did that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So this movie is inspired by the stories that he would tell Sam Mendes.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And just I can only imagine what that poor guy went through.
Yeah.
I'm saying poor.
Sounds like too much.
I'm saying poor guy in regards to all of these men going through this.
Yeah.
But it's
everyone.
It's in some ways the First World War was worse than the Second one. I say in some ways, but because yes, the Second one had quite a considerable amount more of genocide than the first one.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
But the just the trenches and the biological warfare and just this is the first time all of this is happening like a modern war.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways that makes the first one sound like more of a worse experience. But
I'd say they're probably both pretty bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be fighting either.
No.
If we're being completely honest.
No, thanks.
I'm fine not fighting in a war today. Okay? I may be in the army. I may have sign up, put my right hand up. Protect the country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. But
that doesn't mean you want to.
I'm just gonna say, I'm thankful that I've never been deployed to a combat zone. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with not doing that. It's cool. I'm okay. I'm not gonna think less of myself for not having God.
Yeah.
Now, we could do favorite characters. Mm-hmm. There's really only two that get any sort of character development in this movie. But which of the cameos was your favorite?
I will say that I do like both of the main characters a lot. The main character, he was great, fantastic, and I really liked Blake. Really sad he died because I liked them as a team. But favorite cameo, I think, I don't know. It was really cool to see all these like really well-known actors in this movie because even seeing Andrew Scott was cool, and all I know him from is Sherlock. But
Well, yeah, you're gonna.
Cumberbatch was cool.
You're gonna watch him in Spectre when we do the Daniel Craig Bond series.
I think maybe Mark Strong, because he came whenever Schofield was
when he needed him.
Really needed some help. Was a good help. He understood that Schofield was on in a very important mission and needed to get there as soon as possible. So he let him ride in the truck with him.
He understood that he just lost his friend, so he's sympathetic, but at the same time he's like, hey,
you got a mission to do.
You can't. You know this. You can't dwell on it.
Yeah. So and seeing Mark Strong in that role was really cool.
Yeah.
I like seeing him.
I really like seeing Mark Strong a lot. My favorite cameo might have to be Andrew Scott, though. I just love how completely done he is. He even more so than Schofield at the end. He's not having this war anymore. It's like whatever happens.
Yeah.
He was just put in charge because his superior got killed, and he seems like it has and hasn't sunk into him just yet. Has in that he's like, okay, yeah, you do this, do that, whatever, and then hasn't in that he's still just he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's just clearly can't be bothered to give a shit about any of this.
Yeah.
And I just Andrew Scott only has one scene in this movie. It's just the one scene for him, but he's killing it. He's great.
Yeah.
He's killing it like he did to I'm assuming some of Sherlock's loved ones in the series. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far in Sherlock.
We'll have to watch it later.
Maybe, yeah, we will. But I'd say my least favorite is Colin Firth. Not that he's doing anything bad, because he's not. It's just he doesn't quite get as good of a role as the others.
He's just in there at the beginning to tell him what to do, and then that's it. That's all we see him.
Yeah, he's doing fine. There's nothing wrong with his performance at all. It's just the others. I just like their scenes more.
Yeah. They have a little bit more character, a little bit more personality. Whenever Colin Firth is just the general who is kind of
go do this.
Yeah. Just says what needs to be said.
Yeah, Mark Strong, again, he's amazing. I love him in this movie. I have no problems with him in this movie at all.
Yeah.
I don't have any problems with him in any movie.
No,
if we're being completely honest. He's usually the best part of his movies.
Usually.
Benedict Cumberbatch, he's doing a great job. Just he gets maybe as much time as Colin Firth, but I feel like in that small amount of time he gets, he's showing much more character.
He's in a much more
dynamic role.
Yeah, he's in a more vulnerable situation,
and just from the scar he has under his eye, you could tell this guy he's been there. He's done stuff, and Richard Madden, he gets about as much time as Cumberbatch, if I'm just guessing, and throughout his brief screen time, we see him excited when he was thinking, "Oh, my brothers might be here." Then he realizes, "Oh, he's not here. He's dead."
Yeah.
And just him trying to come to grips with his brother's death. It's I love Richard Madden in this movie.
Yeah, even though his part's not very long, he did a really great job.
He did a fantastic job. Andrew Scott or Richard Madden, either one of those, just they're both doing fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's maybe all we have to say about this movie.
Yeah, it's just a really good movie. I am not one who usually likes war movies because usually they're sad and.
And this one was.
Yeah, this one was sad. But I don't know. It was just so different. I think it was just so... just the way it was shot really mesmerized me. And the story was good. The main character was great. And it was just a fun... Well, I guess fun's a bad word to use for a war movie. But a very emotional and beautiful...
Very well done
experience.
Movie.
Yes.
Just... Everyone's firing on all cylinders, and I love it.
Yeah, really great.
So that'll have to do it for us. We will catch you guys next time.
See you next time.